It's a entry-level Samsung phone, very accessible, full touch, and incorporates a stylus which works quite nicely, but it's clearly focused at the lower end and even youth end of the market spectrum. Yes, it's very simple to set up, mostly because it doesn't have huge amounts of features. It's not a business phone. You're not going to be running 3 email accounts off it. You're not going to be running proprietary software like a Microsoft Word or reviewing those kind of documents. So set up, really switch it on, set the time, input your email details, and you're good to go. Yeah, this is a basic phone. SMS, MMS, email, obviously making calls. It does have a music folder, which works quite nicely, but it's a simple entry-level phone. It does have a camera. It's only 1.3 megapixels, and that's very little. Even at the entry-level stage of the phones, there's a lot of competition in this range, and I think it lets itself down a tiny bit on that. But it can take photos, it can take video, and as I've already said, it does have a music folder that will allow you to tap into your music, MP3s and such. It does have a headphone jack, so you can use it as an MP3 player. The phone runs its own proprietary software, unlike some of the other Samsung phones on the higher end of the spectrum that are now running Android, which is the most beautiful operating system on the planet. This is a little clunky, but it functions well for what it's meant to do. The options are fairly simple, so you don't need to get into a lot of searching through menus. The user interface is quite simple, intuitive, I would say. The size is something that's been lost in a lot of the so-called super phones recently. Phones are getting bigger and bigger and heavier. This is still a very little phone. It's got a nice screen, nice resolution on the screen for such a tiny phone, and the touch does work well. I would say though that you want to use it with the stylus, because you need to be a little bit forceful with the touch. It doesn't register quite as sensitive a touch as maybe an iPhone or the Samsung Galaxy. Yeah, I don't want to be mean to this little phone because it's very cheap and it does what it's set out to do. It functions as a nice little phone, but there aren't lots of features. So I would say that it's simple. I think that the touch could have been a little more responsive to finger touch as opposed to the stylus touch. And 1.3 megapixels on a camera, even on a phone these days, is very low. I think it's a sweet, simple little phone, good entry-level market. It's not for my means, it's not a business person's phone, but that's not a problem at the price tag of just over £1,000.